Welcome to First Parish in Framingham. We are a Unitarian-Universalist congregation, and we are a welcoming congregation, which means no matter who you love, how you move around in the world, your race, your age, your gender identity, your gender, your beliefs, no matter where you are on life's journey, you, yes, you, are welcome here. I'm your worship associate this morning. My name is Allison Park, and I use the pronouns she and her. Please be sure to read the announcements in the order of service, and also be sure to put your phones and other devices that might make noise into their quietest setting. While beeps and buzzes can be distracting, we welcome your human noises, especially your laughter and your singing. This morning, we welcome members of the First Parishes of Wayland and Sudbury for our annual Shared Sunday. We also welcome Yaakov Reef as our guest preacher. Yaakov Reef, who uses the pronouns he and they, is a guide, student, and teacher of wilderness spirituality. He's an Orthodox rabbi and a Unitarian-Universalist ministerial aspirant. Their work includes leading workshops, directing retreats, and serving as a guest in the pulpit at churches, synagogues, and meeting houses throughout the Northeast. Trek is an interpretive guide, a wilderness first responder, a forest therapy guide, and is pursuing a Master of Divinity at Meadville Lombard Theological School. He currently serves as a prison chaplain intern at Middlesex House of Correction. Trek and his partner Justin live near the banks of the Muscataqua or Concord River in Billerica, Massachusetts, surrounded by beautiful cedars, maples, oaks, and a giant horse chestnut they count among their friends. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. It takes a lot of courage to try out a new religious community. We look forward to getting to know you better. If this is the religious community you call your own, welcome home. Let us release all that we need to let go of in order to be more fully present to ourselves, to one another, and perhaps to the sacred in this time and this place. A flame within a chalice is the primary symbol of Unitarian Universalism. Joanna Mays writes these words for our chalice lighting. To be alive in this beautiful, self-organizing universe, to participate in the dance of life with senses to perceive it, lungs that breathe it, organs that draw nourishment from it, is a wonder beyond words. Thank you. Let us now rise in body or spirit to sing our opening hymn 163, For the Earth Forever Turning. Please remain standing and sing and say our words of affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve all life with compassion, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. This is our great covenant, one with another and with our God. And remember that all our noises are welcome. Now we will have time for all ages.
Beautiful. Thank you. Good morning. I love noise. Let's see. That's a funny noise. Hi, I'm Trek. Good morning. Good morning. Let's take a breath together. Kim Alsop is an environmentalist, a mom, a blogger, lives down in the Cape, and I love reading her stories. She writes, "Long ago, when travel was by horse and lighting was by candle, a lighthouse keeper and his family lived on an island just off the coast. It was a small island with only 20 families, and it was connected to the mainland by a long wooden bridge. Patrick was 7 years old, and his sister Josephine was 10. They went to school in a small schoolhouse on the island, and they played with their friends and helped their families in many ways. Josephine was just old enough to polish the glass windows at the very top of the lighthouse. They had to be perfectly clear so the light would brightly shine out 20 miles to the sea. While she polished the outside window, she saw her father polishing the lens of the light that was so big he could stand inside it. Patrick would be inside with her father, handing him polishing rags. Most days, the light ran at night, and the most important job was keeping it filled with oil. Father and mother had to carry many 5-gallon cans of oil up the 200 steps every day to keep the light shining all night. I just want to pause there. 200 steps, 5-gallon cans of oil. I'm just thinking of the Bunker Hill Monument and the first time I ever walked up it, which was also the last time I'll ever walk up it. When there was a storm, however, the light had to run all day and all night. Storms were a busy time for a lighthouse keeper and his family. One day when Josephine and Patrick came home from school on a very cold day in early November, their mom asked them to bring a thermos of hot tea up to their father. When they reached the very top, they found him staring out to sea through a telescope. He said, "Look, a storm is approaching." Josephine looked and saw big clouds in the distance. Patrick said, "We saw big waves crashing on the shore on our way home from school, Mom." Father said, "The storm will arrive with the high tide. This may be one of those storms that brings water into the village. We will be fine here in our sturdy home and our strong lighthouse on the high cliff, but I think everyone in the village should go to the mainland in case their homes are flooded. Children, go get your mother and ask her to go to the village with you and tell everyone to evacuate within the next couple of hours." As mother and the children walked into the village, the wind became stronger. The village was one long street with houses on each side. Mother said, "I will tell the people on this side of the street, and the two of you go together to the houses on the other side of the street." They knocked on each door and told them about the storm they had seen coming their way. The villagers had done this before. Nothing needed to be explained to them, for they all knew that the wooden bridge was old and that the next big storm could sweep it away. They knew, too, that some storms could bring water up the street and even flood their homes. This had not happened for many years, but one never knew what the next storm would bring. By the time Mother and the children knocked on the last doors, some families had already hitched their horses to wagons and were clip-clopping up the street and around the bend, into the woods and toward the bridge. Patrick, Josephine, and Mother faced into the wind as they walked back to the lighthouse. Now the wind had sleet in it. It froze onto the scarf that Patrick had pulled over his mouth and nose. Back at their house, high on the cliff, Mother told Patrick that it would be his job to keep the fires lit through the storm. He would have to sleep by the fireplace in the living room and also feed the wood stove in the kitchen. Josephine and Patrick went in and out to fill the big wooden box with firewood. Mother said, "Josephine, I think you're old enough to help me carry the oil to your father. He will not come down until the storm is over." And so the long night began. Mother took out bread and cheese and apples and left them out on the kitchen counter. They did not have time for a proper meal, but each of them would stop to eat when they were hungry and had a moment to do so. A kettle sat on the wood stove, and Patrick kept it full of water for tea. It was Josephine's job to bring food and hot tea to Father. The wind grew louder and louder and louder, and Josephine and Mother made many trips through the storm to get oil for the lamp. They had climbed again and again and again. I just want to go back to the 200 steps. Mother and Father took turns going out into the storm at the very top of the lighthouse on the little porch where Josephine polished the windows on sunny days, only now the windows were covered with ice. They scraped the ice off so the light could shine brightly and be seen by ships at sea to warn them to keep away from the rocks of the little island. Meanwhile, Patrick found himself trusted to care for the two fires. He had learned how to place logs on a fire without burning his hands, how to close the door of the stove to keep the fire inside, how to let the fire burn low but not too low before adding another log. All night long they worked. Mother and Father and Josephine did not sleep at all, but Patrick took little cat naps on the rug near the fire, and Josephine woke him from time to time to remind him to check on the fire. Josephine was so tired as she climbed the 200 steps. You think. The sound of the wind could still be heard, and the ice had turned to rain. They could not see the sun as it rose because of that rain. As the sun rose behind the clouds, it made the sky gray instead of black. Josephine felt more energy in her step, even though she had not slept. It's funny how the sun can do that for you. Mother said to Josephine, "Go and sleep, for there's no more ice, and the windows will not need much care." For a time, Josephine slept, and then her mother slept. And as the storm died down, Mother stayed by the light while Father slept. And by noon, the storm was gone. The family gathered at the top of the lighthouse, and the sun came out, and everyone cheered, and that could be the end of the story. Using the telescope, Father looked to the village. He said, "I think the water did not go into the houses, but look, the end of the bridge has broken, and there are already people working on it." Mother walked into town and came back with the news that the bridge repair would be done by 8 p.m. and that the families could return to their homes in time to go to bed for the night. By the time Mother came home, it was growing dark. Father slept briefly, but again came and lit the light and was on duty in the lighthouse. Mother said, "It's supper for you two hard workers, then off to bed." Josephine yawned. I would probably not yawn. I would probably already be asleep. But Patrick looked thoughtful. His thoughts drifted to keeping the fires lit overnight, and then his eyes grew wide. I think all the fires in the village houses will be out by now, he said. Josephine and Patrick looked at each other and at the same time said, "Let's go light them. Then everyone can come home to a warm house." Patrick, Josephine, and Mother walked into town. Mother carried a metal bucket full of coals from their own fire. Josephine and Patrick each carried big baskets of sticks for kindling. They knew the doors of the houses would be unlocked, for nobody on the island ever locked a door. And then, one house at a time, they carried coals and sticks and lit fires in every fireplace. Mother would move on to the next house, leaving one child behind. To be sure, the log they added from each family storage box would catch and begin to burn. When they finished, they stood at the end of the street, looking back at the glow in the houses, the warmth and the light they had given. The stars shone over them. They did not notice that they were tired, for happiness filled them. And just as they reached the far end of the street to walk back to the lighthouse, they heard clip-clop, 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 the sounds of horses pulling carts. They were too tired to stay and greet their friends, and besides, Father was at home and might need help, so they walked home silently through the night, lanterns in hand, full of the inner light of giving, grateful that the storm had not done much damage, and grateful for all of their blessings. Thank you for listening to Kim's story.
We are a people of deep joy and great sorrow. Now we share the things which weigh deepest on our hearts. In between the sharing of sorrows and joys, we will sing the song, Comfort Me. You can submit your joys or sorrows online or in the book at the back of the sanctuary. We sing Comfort Me so that our milestones might be held in song. These are the sorrows of our congregation. From Carol and Bob Boyce, our thoughts and prayers are with our friend in Connecticut, whose wife passed away suddenly on Monday, December 23rd. Thanks, Rebecca. And also, from Kathy M., my good friend Tom is in the hospital in Florida with kidney failure. Please keep him in your thoughts. These are the sorrows of our congregation. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. These are the joys of our congregation. Vicki Carrion writes, I had my left hip replacement 1 week ago, and am doing well in my recovery, looking forward to being more active again. Let us now sing. Sing with me. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with And let us light one final candle for all the joys and sorrows that are left unspoken. The final verse of Comfort Me, which is Speak for Me. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul.
Wow, this is really high. It's going to squash me like a bug. Actually, you know what it feels like? It feels like a transporter. Now I can jive with it. In our time for contemplation this morning, I want to share with you some words, and then we'll just be silent for a moment as we consider them. These words come from Robert Weston, and it's probably one of my favorite poems. Out of the stars in their flight, out of the dust of eternity, here have we come, stardust and sunlight mingling through time and through space. Out of the stars have we come, up from time. Out of the stars have we come. Time out of time before time in the vastness of space. Earth spun to orbit the sun. Earth with the thunder of mountains newborn, the boiling of seas. Earth warmed by sun, lit by sunlight. This is our home. Out of the stars have we come. Mystery hidden in mystery, back through all time, mystery rising from rocks in the storm and the sea. Out of the stars rising from rocks and the sea, kindled by sunlight on earth, arose life. Ponder this thing in your heart. Ponder with awe. Out of the sea to the land, out of the shallows came ferns. Out of the sea to the land, up from darkness to light, rising to walk and to fly, out of the sea trembled life. Ponder this thing in your heart, life up from sea, eyes to behold, throats to sing, mates to love. Life from the sea, warmed by sun, washed by rain, life from within giving birth, rose to love. This is the wonder of time. This is the marvel of space. Out of the stars swung earth. Life upon earth rose to love. This is the marvel of life, rising to see and to know. Out of your heart cry wonder. Sing that we live.
Now it's time for the offering. Former First Parish in Framingham ministerial intern Michael Hall writes these words: "As we approach the time for our offering, give what you will for the church that has meant so much to you, for the church that meant so much to those who came before you, and for the church that will mean so much to people you will never know. Give what you will, for you are a generous people.
I'm just taking in all of these beautiful faces. I know it's my first time here, and I just want to say thank you for inviting me to your pulpit. It's a special honor to be here, in particular because I hear there are 3 congregations merged in service once a year, so that's a really special thing. And I hear that there are some members from a 4th congregation also here, one of the local synagogues. Temple Bethel, awesome. Awesome. Welcome, welcome. Your sermon this morning is going to be maybe a little different than you're used to. I'm used to giving what I would call a 5-minute sermon and then asking everyone to argue with me about what I just said. That happens a lot, and I really enjoy it. But instead of arguing, I think what I'll do is give you moments of reflection. So I have things to share, some thoughts on light and darkness. As you know, Hanukkah is happening right now. How many folks know when the darkest, not the longest, but the darkest night of the year is? Cool. It's the 6th night of Hanukkah, always the 6th night of Hanukkah. And why is it the 6th night of Hanukkah? Does anyone want to venture a guess? The new moon. So the 25th of Kislev, like the 25th of December, are set dates in 2 different calendars. We always know that Hanukkah is the exact same time every single year, the 25th of Kislev. So folks who don't follow a Hebrew calendar are always wondering, when is Hanukkah happening this year? Well, the 25th of Kislev, the same time it happens every year. Just so happens that this year coincided with the first day of Christmas. And I say first day of Christmas, and I hear some people say, first day? How many days of Christmas are there? Well, it goes until Epiphany on the 6th of January. So all of those who feel jealous that I get 8 holiday days, you get 12. Okay, so some thoughts on light. Why thoughts on light? And some thoughts on darkness. Why thoughts on darkness? The darkest night of the year occurs during Hanukkah, and that darkest night of the year introduces a couple of ideas to me. One, what is it about the darkness that makes us so afraid? And what is it about light that draws us so near to it? Is it simply that the darkness is unrevealed? Is it simply that there is no light? Is it
something to do with far long ago in our reptilian brains? We often think of light and darkness as complete opposites. Light reveals, darkness obscures. Light comforts, darkness unsettles. Light is safe, darkness dangerous. But what if we let go of this binary thinking? That seems like a theme for the last couple of years. Sounds like a good theme to me. What if we see light and darkness not as enemies, but as partners in a dance? What if we see love the same way? What if we see love not only as a warm glow of comfort, but also as the quiet presence that keeps vigil in the shadows? What images or feelings arise when you think of light? Take a moment to notice your breath, if you want. That can help induce a thought process. What images or feelings arise when you think of light? And now, what about when you think of darkness? My first feeling of light is one where I think of the campfires. You see a campfire set and you can smell it before you even see it. You can smell it and then you begin to see the glow. I happen to have hiked the Appalachian Trail in 2016. There were nights when I hiked late at night. One particular night, my headlight burned out. I'm an ultralight backpacker, so I didn't have any spare batteries. So what now? No light. All I had was this faint reflection of a waning moon shining brightly, I might add, on these white 6-inch by 2-inch blazes on trees to tell you how to hike the Appalachian Trail, that show you how to hike the Appalachian Trail. I heard rustling. Has to be a bear. I know it's a bear. And my fear was so palpable in that moment, the sweat that came down me, and I paused and I thought, what in this moment am I actually afraid of? That was when the chipmunk ran across the trail. I am afraid of the dark. I wish I weren't. I really wish I weren't. I think about garlic. Garlic isn't afraid of the dark. Garlic thrives in the dark. It thrives in the dark. I planted last year 200 cloves of garlic in my garden. They're little things this big. You've had a clove of garlic, and if you haven't, that's okay. Not everyone likes garlic. If the recipe calls for 2, though, I'm putting in 2 bulbs. But each one of these grew a bulb. They grew a whole bulb the size of a fist. In darkness. Okay, there was light involved, it turns out. A dance. A dramatic dance. The light was happening where the garlic couldn't see it. The actual bulb couldn't see the light. It only had the helper at the top feeding the light to it to help it grow. But it was the darkness that was required for its growth. And I wonder about that sometimes. I wonder about what it is to grow in darkness. The darkest night of the year has not yet happened. It is coming very shortly here. We're about to end the Gregorian year of 2024. And for some reason, every time I hear someone say 2025, I get the heebie-jeebies. I just start freaking out a little bit. It feels like there's a darkness coming, or a storm, like in the story. I liked that story because the storm came in early November. But I think about that storm, and I think about what it could mean to us today to see the coming darkness and see the coming light, too, whatever those things look like for us, as opportunities to see love reflected or encased in the world. Love as light is easy to celebrate. It's the love that breaks through the despair like the sunrise. They all cheered when the sun rose in the story earlier. It's the candle flame lit against the night, the glow of connection, warmth, and hope. We feel this love in times of joy. When a baby is born, we marvel at the new life. We marvel at the seedlings. When friends gather around a table, the laughter brings us light. When we witness acts of courage and compassion, light. This is a love that says, I see you, I know you, I'm here with you. In the Jewish tradition, lighting candles marks sacred time. Shabbat, Hanukkah, life's milestones. Every year on my father's yard site, I light a memorial candle that stays burning for about 25 hours. Each flame reminds us that love has the power to push back the shadows of fear and isolation. So I wonder, who has been a light for you in dark times? How did their love illuminate your path? But of course, love is not only the light. Love is also the darkness, the mystery, the unknown, the fertile ground where transformation begins. I would even venture to say new relationship energy. The unknown. What comes next? We don't know. Think of seeds buried in the soil, like the garlic I mentioned earlier, breaking open in that dark. Think of the night sky, vast and endless. Of course, it's not really endless. Holding up the light of distant stars to us. Light that took 600 years to get here through darkness. Think of the womb, where life stirs unseen. This is the love that sits with us in grief, sure, not trying to fix it, but simply bearing witness. It's the love that stays when everything feels uncertain. It's the love of expectancy. So I want to pause again. When have you experienced love in the form of quiet presence rather than answers? What did it feel like to be held in that space? I'm obsessed with the earth. You probably saw or heard in the biography that I consider myself an Orthodox rabbi. I've been on a bunch of paths in my life. Judaism lends itself really well to playing with the movements of Judaism. You can be a Reformed Jew and a Renewal Jew. I know some Orthodox Jews who are Renewal Jews. I'm a Renewal Jew and a Unitarian-Universalist. Happy to have that conversation with anyone who's interested, but not from the pulpit at the moment. But it's the earth that I find myself, my doxy is quite firm that the earth is our home. It's, to me, the temple. To me, it is the temple. To me, it is the thing that we rededicate every Hanukkah. I think of those things. So I think about the earth in this term. In the Midrash, ancient collection of stories, there is basically a commentary, a story of commentary of reading between the lines in the Torah and saying, okay, this means this. This story really means this. Like, for example, if you saw the Noah with, I'm going to forget his name, Russell Crowe. If you saw the Noah movie with Russell Crowe, that's actually based on the Jewish Noah story, not the Christian Noah story, the Midrashic story. The Midrash says that Adam, when Adam also means, there's a lot of explanation of Hebrew words, but Adam literally means earthling in Hebrew. It comes from the word Adamah, of the earth. The original earthling is split in two. The rib thing seems to me a mistranslation, but an actual splitting in two according to the Midrash. But Adam, before the split, Adam, earthling. experiences after creation the very first winter solstice, according to the Midrash, and notices that the light dwindles and gets afraid, looks for God everywhere that Adam can't find God in this dark moment. And so, instead of trying to find God, begins to light candles. 8 of them until they notice that the sun is coming back. So the next year, they light 8 candles 8 days before that moment and dwindle the light until there is none. And then after the winter solstice, increasing the light. This is a midrashic story that says this could be a possible origin of where Hanukkah comes from, except, of course, we all know the military story, the war story. We fought and rededicated the temple. That's not saying that both stories can't be true, just because they may not be literal. I think about that, and I think about what humans do when we see dwindling light, whether it's real light, like an actual light, or the brightness of a friend. What do we do when we see light dwindling? What do we do when we feel the darkness growing? It seems like very natural responses humans have to things. Lighting a candle in the dark, creating a ritual out of it because you're afraid, and so you ritualize it so that you can take the fear out of it, the mystique. Joanna Macy, who was quoted earlier in the opening words, is probably one of, I think that God has sent her as a prophet in the world. She's an ecofeminist, a Buddhist. She reminds us that the universe should be seen as a lover, which is why I brought in the love aspect today, also Weston's poem. Ecologists remind us that the universe itself could be a lover, ecologists like Joanna Macy, shaping us through cycles of light and dark, day and night, summer and winter, birth and decay. Joanna, if you don't know Joanna Macy, you have to read all 15 or 17 or something of her books. But if I had to give you just one of them, it is The World as Self, World as Lover is a profoundly important book, and then Act of Hope, which she writes with Chris Johnstone, which you will all need in the coming year. She writes that the world itself has a role to play in our liberation, waking us up through its beauty and its brokenness. The light of sunrise and the darkness of a wildfire both call us to transformation. In our relationships, too, we experience this rhythm. Love is not only a celebration and a certainty, it's also risk and vulnerability. It's letting ourselves be seen for who we truly are. And it's trusting that even when we cannot see the way forward. So, I ask, where is love calling you to grow right now? You can see the darkening days. You can see it on the clock. Actually, it's darkening still, but the sun will be returning soon. We'll start noticing it in earnest by the beginning of January. How does nature invite you to step into the light? What have you noticed that Earth has taught you about stepping into the light? What has the earth taught you about resting in the darkness? We'll pause for a moment to just consider those questions. Where is love calling you to grow right now? How does nature invite us to step into the light? Or how does it invite us to rest in the darkness? I have a ritual for you. You don't have to do it now. And I'll send it to your church administrator, so maybe it can get forwarded or something. What I'd like you to do is to consider this very simple ritual. You can remember it too, I imagine. You'll find a word or a phrase that represents something you are carrying in the darkness. It could be grief, uncertainty, or fear. On that same paper, I like to do the opposite side, Write a word or phrase that represents a hope or light you're holding. You can do this at any time. Something that represents darkness that you're carrying, and something that represents light that you are carrying. So those are two sides. When you're ready, hold them and consider the words. Allow whatever flows to flow. It's that simple. If you feel like it, you can take it and you can rip it up and put it in the trash. You can rip it up and burn it. Whatever ritual helps. I find that this is a really beautiful way to start reflecting on the ways darkness and light enter our lives and how we put meaning to them. Meaning is how we live our lives. We grew to love out of the ocean depths. Our earth spun out from the birth of a star. Our star from the birth of a galaxy. Our galaxies from the birth of a universe. And if we are made B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God, then we are co-creators of that very love that rose from the ocean. What could it mean for us to light one candle, just one candle, in the darkness? And what could it mean to trust that the darkness will hold us in safety? I don't give you answers, but here on the eve of 2025, just more questions, which you should expect no less from someone who has become a rabbi. And with that, I want to invite you to sing our final hymn, 121, Light One Candle. Did I say 121? I meant 221. I meant 221. Singing of Light One Candle. Thank you for that, Dean. Let me double check here. I believe I'm doing a benediction.
Yes.
Take a look around you for just one moment. Remind yourselves that each of you is a light in this world. It costs nothing for you to share that light with another when another's light is dim. Be the candle lighter that you already are and know how to be. And as you do so, remember to live long and prosper.
We extinguish this chalice, but not the light it brings, or the hope it brings, which is ours to carry. I always thought people were rushing this part. Then I did it.